The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, it does not matter who the host is, that's for sure. Anyways, today's Thursday, November the 18th of 2021, day 332 of the year, and only 43 days left to go. Hopefully everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods, depending on where you're hanging and banging and all that kind of fun stuff. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM temporary studios in Fisherman Village, that is for sure, as we are hanging across and doing the things on the multiverse of Safety FM, but we're also hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff at. Wow, that was terrible. That was one of the worst things I've ever done. Hold on, let's do that again. We're hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place. So you get stuff like that when the connection does not make the connection. So there you go. Test your product and test your equipment before you do anything. That's for sure. Anyway, so there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of the world of the news as we are hanging out this morning, doing the things that we do. That's for sure. So don't worry about that aspect of life, as we are doing our thing, doing our groove, doing our move. So looking at what was trending in the overnight, I don't know if you heard about this, but there was a, how can I put this? A deer that broke into a church in Michigan, opening days of gun hunting season. The 10-point buck smashed through the window at Grace Sturgis Church, startling the pastor, and there was an intrusion. Yeah, some intrusion. Take a listen. Take a listen to what we got there.
Hi, Jira.
Oh, listen, this is something entirely different. I love when it doesn't go through. Listen.
Oh my word! Oh my word! What is happening? That is a buck. No, don't go up there. Don't go up there.
Now, this thing is actually going through the church, and it is in the upstairs section, jumping up and down. Of course, I could not show you the dumb video because of how YouTube does things when it comes to video replays. But take a listen real quick.
He went through the window in the auditorium. Oh my goodness.
And so they're clapping at it as it's upstairs, trying to see if they can get it to come down, and it's jumping all over the place.
Oh.
And now it's starting to head downstairs, and now they're making a run for it. So there you go, some interaction, some activity going on inside of a church with a buck. So who the hell knows what else could happen next? Anyway, some stuff to think about as we are hanging and banging, moving and grooving, and all that kind of fun stuff on this lovely, lovely, lovely Thursday. So as we take a look at this and we start talking about it, you realize right now that if you are in the US of A, we are una semana away, 1 week away from getting this whole thing started. Of what we're going to do here with the holidays. You know, the start of the holiday. We're not even going to talk about the Black Friday thing yet because you know that's going to be a thing. We're going to talk about that as well. But, you know, it's just amazing to me. Amazing that we're already there. I mean, the countdown to the end of the year is so much closer than what it was last week. Oh, what a shocker there. Anyways, let's get you into our friends at Feature Story News because I think that's going to be important. And let's do that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. The boss of the Women's Tennis Association says he has a hard time believing that an email attributed to missing Chinese tennis player Peng Shuai is actually from her. She hasn't been seen since making sexual assault claims against a Chinese government official a fortnight ago. In the email purportedly from her, released by Chinese state media, she describes the allegations as not true. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson's facing growing criticism from within his own party as he scraps part of a high-speed rail scheme. Several Conservative MPs are criticising plans for local service upgrades rather than expected high-speed lines in northern England. Boris Johnson's also under fire over a series of recent scandals and mistakes he admits he made over the behaviour of lawmakers. Daily Mail political sketchwriter Henry Deeds doesn't believe he's currently a popular leader in his own party.
No, I don't actually. I think Boris's big advantage has always been that his MPs have blindly followed him into battle because they know he's a winner. They may not always agree with him, but they follow him anyway. I think those days are gone where Downing Street can simply issue orders to backbenchers and expect them to obey them. I think there's a lot of bridge building to be done with them.
Hong Kong's authorities say they'll crack down on any attempt to manipulate the city's legislative election next month. A range of new measures are being introduced to target calls for election boycotts or the casting of invalid votes. Richard Kimber reports.
For the first time in Hong Kong, 800 anti-corruption officers will be deployed at polling stations across the city on election day. More staff will monitor internet activity and man phone lines for any reports of calls to boycott the election or to cast invalid or blank votes. Under new laws, both are now crimes with a maximum penalty of 3 years in jail and a $25,000 fine. The election is the first to take place in Hong Kong since Beijing introduced major reforms in March that give it more control over Hong Kong's political system and ensure that only people it deems patriots can hold power. Critics say that eliminates the chance of political opposition.
Indian payments company Paytm's making its debut on the domestic stock market. Its $2.5 billion listing is the country's biggest. Ishan Garg reports.
Backed by China's Ant Financial and Japan's Softbank, Paytm has grown many folds since its inception a decade ago. It started as a mobile top-up startup, but now is into digital payments, lending, as well as e-commerce. The company's IPO was one of the most hotly anticipated, but it did not garner the attention that it expected. Although the public offering was oversubscribed, analysts say it would have done better if the shares were not so expensive. Despite controlling nearly 14% of the digital payments market in the country, Paytm is running in deep losses. This is why analysts say when India's market's bull run ends, its shares may lose the premium they're commanding right now.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more depth at the COVID-19 wave washing over much of Europe. Many public health experts in the United States are taking a close look at soaring case numbers on the other side of the Atlantic after several European governments lifted many of their restrictions, only to be faced now with the need to reimpose some of them. But the rise in case numbers has not, in many countries, been accompanied by a proportionate rise in fatalities, largely due to the widespread acceptance of vaccines, particularly in Western Europe.
Each country in Europe are going through our own COVID pandemics that are determined by our own policies and our own immunity levels.
Professor Christina Pagel is the director of the Clinical Operational Research Unit at University College London.
What we're seeing in Europe is that actually it's very, very difficult to keep COVID down without any measures. So, Denmark tried, the Netherlands tried, Belgium tried. They actually, got COVID really low and then released all their restrictions. And cases have shot up and they've had to reintroduce them. And that's just a combination of winter and waning, of not having yet vaccinated school children, which unfortunately, gives the virus a place to go.
Which leaves many in the US worried, a country with lower levels of full vaccination compared to many nations in Europe, and like Europe, bracing itself for colder temperatures and the winter seasons of respiratory diseases that could put fresh pressure on the country's public health systems.
To recap the top stories, the WTA boss says he has a hard time believing an email attributed to missing Chinese tennis player Peng Shuai is actually from her. Boris Johnson's facing growing criticism from within his own party as he scraps part of a high-speed rail scheme in the UK. Hong Kong's authorities say they'll crack down on any attempt to manipulate next month's elections. And Indian payments company Paytm's made its debut on the domestic stock market after a major IPO. That's the latest feature story news. Ollie Barrett reporting.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out. Doing the thing that we do on early days. You know what I'm talking about there. Anyway, so let's start talking about some other things that are going on inside of this lovely world of ours, because those things are always important. So taking it from the top and moving and grooving and all that other kind of fun stuff that we normally do around here. Let's go through it. Several frozen vials labeled smallpox were discovered in a freezer at a facility that conducted a vaccine research in Pennsylvania. The CDC reported the find yesterday, saying that as of now, there is no indication that anyone has been exposed to smallpox under the number of frozen vials that were found. The organization, it's it's a administration partner of the law enforcement officials are investigating the matter. More details will be provided as they become available. So worth noting, the virus is considered deadly, that only 2 labs in the world are authorized to store samples of it. One is in Russia and the other one is in the CDC in Atlanta. So here becomes the question, how in the heck, or how in the does some place like Pennsylvania end up getting it? And don't get me wrong, I know we have a lot of listeners in Pennsylvania, and I'm not saying that, that Pennsylvania is a place not to go to, because that's not what I'm saying. But think about it for a moment. There is a reason why there's only 2 places that have it. So how did they end up with it? Somebody needs to explain that one out there. Anyways, a number of airline passengers traveling for the upcoming holiday is expected to rebound to the pre-pandemic levels. The TSA Administrator David Pizzoki stated yesterday that the staffing will be sufficient for the busy travel period. In 2019, a record 26 million passengers and crew passed through the TSA screening. And the 11 days around Thanksgiving, that number plummeted last year. So here's my question, because here's the thing. Let's talk about the serious portion. So I can tell you the TSA can have as many people as they want out there, and they can have as many people as they want to actually help and expedite and go through the whole system. But are the airlines, oh yes, the airlines going to have enough people to work what needs to be done? I mean, let's take a look at what's been going on over the last few weeks in general here, because think about it. We don't have enough ground crew. We don't have enough people to actually come and clean the plane. We don't have enough people to actually be the crew on the plane. So maybe those are some things that we need to consider before the traveling aspect of it. Because let's think about this real quick. If you schedule a plane to take off and go somewhere, and you don't have the crew to take care of it, well, that's not so much on the crew. That's so much more on the scheduler. And that's much more so on the company. So let's think about this real quick. Delay after delay after delay after delay does not actually equate to a good time on a plane. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. Told me that they landed at the place that he was trying to arrive to the previous day. Once they actually did arrive, here's what took place. They didn't have anybody to push the gate to contact the plane. So they had to sit there for 30 to 45 minutes before they were able to get off. Nobody wants to do that through the holidays. Can you imagine? You know that moment that when you're in a plane, that all of a sudden you land, you pulled up to the gate, and everybody has that moment of excitement that we're about to get the hell out of this thing. And then all of a sudden it turns around and you're stuck like Chuck, because all of a sudden there's nobody there to connect the little bridgeway to get off the damn thing.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, 2 men convicted of the assassination of Malcolm X are set to be cleared after more than a half a century behind bars. According to a new report, Muhammad Azid and the late Khalil Islam were being exonerated after nearly 2 years investigation by their lawyers. The decision comes after the prosecutors believe that the authorities withheld evidence in the civil rights leader's killing. A court date is expected today. So Malcolm X was gunned down as he was speaking in Harlem in a ballroom back in February of 1965. So here's going to be the interesting part. So saying, for instance, that the people are innocent. So let's just talk about that real quick. This means that we are going to have something from 1965 that is going to be still known as an unsolved mystery. It's going to be interesting. I mean, because a lot of people are going to have questions about this. Let's just be realistic. I mean, we're saying that they're no longer convicted. I mean, we can go into some other things right away and talk about those. You know that. I know that. So let's not go down that path, because we can talk about the JFK thing, and that's an easy one to poke at right away. Anyways, let's continue talking. So far, 2.6 million kids ages 5 to 11 have received the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. The rate of vaccination in the 2 weeks since the shot approval is more than 3 times faster than the rate of adults were vaccinated at the start of the vaccine campaign nearly 11 months ago. Kids who get their first jab by the end of this week will be fully vaccinated by Christmas, assuming that they get their second dose in 3 weeks. So there you go. So here's my question, because you know it's going to come up. We keep on talking about vaccines. We keep on talking about boosters and all that kind of fun stuff. So right now, the booster is based on this date is limited to the elderly for the most part. And so then they've actually lowered it for some of the other demos, depending on state that you're in. So are kids, yes, kids, going to have a booster shot? Based on theories here. The other portion is there at one point there was a conversation of, well, you know how you get the yearly flu shot? You might have to start considering getting the yearly COVID shot. So, I mean, is that going to be a thing? I mean, are we realistically going down that angle? I'm just asking the question because I want to have a better understanding of the thing. You know, I think that it's better to be well prepared than, not being prepared at all. Something to think about as we are talking. Anyways, Maine, Kansas, and Vermont have expanded booster shots to all adults. Oh, look at that. Look how quick that turned around. The move comes despite the CDC's criteria stating that only those at increased risk should get the extra dose. So what do you think? I did not know that thing was going to pop up right there. But think about this real quick. So if that's the case in those states, when are the other 47 or continuous 45 going to jump on the same bandwagon? Because I think, that this is going to be something interesting as we continue to have the conversation. And it is still going to continue to be political. Yeah, we'll talk about that more here in a couple of weeks on the Jay Allen Show, so don't worry about that. But we'll continue to talk about how this thing keeps on going and going and going and going. Anyway, Jacob Chansley, a.k.a. the QAnon Shaman, has been sentenced to 41 months in prison for the role at the Capitol riot. The sentence could be a sign of what's to come for those others whose cases are still pending. So 41 months. So we're essentially talking a little bit of like 3 years and 5 months. Because of the riot that occurred back on January the 6th. So there you go. Anyways, let's continue talking. 2 days of deliberation. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial ended with no verdict. The 12 jurors spent 7.5 hours at the courthouse yesterday and rewatched the video from the trial inside the courtroom. As the jurors deliberated, the prosecution and defense spent hours arguing the cast in front of the judge. The jurors will return to court today. So here's my question to you. Because here's going to be the thing. Do you think that by the end of the week, meaning tomorrow at the latest, we will have a result of what is going on here? Will we have a determination of what the jurors will say, the peers on what's going to happen? I mean, I'm just asking the question because it's going to be something. It's going to be something that we need to talk about for sure. And don't worry, it's going to be something we're going to talk about once it does happen. You know that already. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things. Is this important to you? Because take a listen to this. The Staples Center is getting a new name. The home of the Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers and the NHL Kings and the WNBA Sparks will change its name after 22 years of operation to, are you ready for this? Crypto.com. Yeah, Crypto.com. The name change will go into effect on Christmas Day. Crypto.com is reportedly paying $700 million over 20 years to rename the building. So here's the question, and this is a legit question, and I'm not being an asshole by asking this. Is it $700 million, or are they paying in cryptocurrency? I'm just asking the question, just asking.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, it's time to have some Johnny Smalls come in here and talk to you about the Market Beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, November 18th, 2021. The markets gave up some of their gains Wednesday, but investors should not worry too much about the move. Bad news for Visa is cause for most of the day's decline, and was offset by another round of much better than expected news from the retail sector. Retailers from Target to TJ Maxx beat their consensus estimates and guided the market higher, citing robust trends and the expectation for fully stocked shelves this holiday season. On the economic front, the housing data was a mixed bag, with building permits rising more than expected and housing starts falling versus an expectation for gains. The data underscore a worsening problem in the housing market, that of rising demand and stalling activity due to supply and labor shortages. If the bottlenecks are corrected soon, the housing prices could sustain their meteoric climb. You can get the inside track in your inbox at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one. I appreciate the information. Let me tell you what we found on our end as we hang out real quick. Markets fell on Wednesday as the Dow slumped about 211 points, the Nasdaq slipped about 52 points, and the S&P lost about 12 points. Signals sent by corporate bonds markets indicate that the recent sell-off, which shows investors may have less confidence in companies' ability to repay debts. Target lost about 5% during the Wednesday session, although it reported earnings that easily exceeded the forecast. So there you go. I don't know. What does the market want anymore? You know, it's just such a weird time when it comes to these things. I mean, you're seeing houses selling for buku. Yeah, I'm going to use the word buku money of over asking. I mean, think about it right now. It's easy for, depending on what state you're located in, where it can be a variation of getting between $50,000 to $200,000. That's USD, just in case. $200,000, between $50,000 and $200,000 above the asking price. I mean, of course I'm going to sell off if I am being told that. I mean, imagine that. Like, if I sold my full-time studio to get into a temporary studio because I got so much more above the asking. Okay, that's not true, but it did sound good at the time that I was saying it. Okay, so let's continue talking. It is 28 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's continue talking about some other things going on inside of the world. Over 100,000 Americans have died of drug overdose the past year, something health officials said has never, ever been seen before. While overdose deaths have been rising for more than 2 decades, they jumped nearly 30% this year. Officials believe that the rise of the deadly drug fentanyl and the COVID-19 pandemic are the top of the drivers of the surge in deaths. Drug overdoses now surpass deaths from car crashes, guns, flu, and pneumonia. Think about that real quick. 100,000 Americans died of overdoses over the past year. So think about this. We are talking solely about Americans. We're not talking about any other country in the world about overdose deaths. So think about that. And we've had this conversation before, but the impact that one person has on somebody's life or multiple people's lives, think about the impact of 100,000 people. So let me kind of just tell you this. If you're in the U.S. and you're familiar where the Cowboys play in good old Dallas, Texas, or we'll talk at Irving or whatever the hell you want to call it, or Arlington or wherever the hell the stadium is located, we'll just say in the Metroplex. Imagine filling that thing up and all of a sudden saying all those people inside of that thing are dead. I know, a little bit extreme there, but think about it. That's essentially what we're talking about. 100,000 people overdosed and died. It's amazing to me as we talk about this. So if I can leave you with a positive side on this, let's talk about it. Let's talk about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Know that you're not alone. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experience from people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to afsp.org. That is afsp.org, or call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. Listen, we can't do what we do around here without you. You're meant to play your part. And listen, I know things are tough, things are harsh, and it's easy to do other things. I'm not going to promise you that it's going to be an easy pass, but man, we definitely need to talk about some of this stuff. So, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, know they're there. You can go to their website, afsp.org. Anyways, it's about 31 minutes past the top of the hour as we are speaking on this lovely Thursday. I think it might be time for us to do the thing that we do that we know as our main story. So maybe it's time to do that. What do you think? I think that you think that we should do it.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, as we talk about our main story and do the things that we do, if you hung out on las redes sociales, if you were hanging out on social media, if you were able to see the title, if you're listening to the podcast, you definitely know the title because, that comes up with the podcast. But if you're on the radio station, there's a title. Yes, there is a title. So find a reason to stay. Boy, does that seem like something entirely different from when I originally was thinking about the title to where we're talking about right now. And it's amazing to me, amazing as we are talking about how things change so easily and so quickly and all of that fun stuff all together. Sometimes in the morning, you get up and you probably take a look around and you go, why do I do the things that I do? Why do I bother to stay at X? That be it a relationship, that be it at a position at a job, that be it whatever you want to input into that position right here. And you have to think about it sometimes. What is it worth to me? Is it worth continuing on? Is it worth doing X, Y, and Z? I mean, we can have this conversation all day, every day. And go, is it worth it? And then you would have to really figure out at that time too, is the conversation worth staying for that we're having right now? But that's the gig. That's the inside Iggy. You have to find a reason on why you're doing X. What is the reason to stay at your current position? What is the reason to stay in your current relationship? Believe me, I'm not asking for a divorce mass exodus here. Don't want to get that confused. But you have to think about a lot of these things. There has to be a purpose on what you are doing day in and day out. You have to find a reason why it's worth staying. And believe me, I am not saying by any way, mean, shapes, or form that if it becomes difficult, leave. Because think about that. You'll be changing things all the time the moment something becomes difficult. What I'm saying is that we need to find a reason to stay. We need to find a purpose of what we're doing. Listen, I do what I do on a day in and day out basis because I would love to see the world be a little bit safer. Listen, not everybody likes my approach. Some people think that this show is to an extreme on when we do things here, and that's okay. Some people think that, it's okay on how we do it, and that's the thing. I have found a reason on why I do what I do. Now, the question becomes, why are you doing the things that you do? Have you found that reason? Because at the end of the day, you have to be happy with what you're doing. And you have to have some sense of purpose. Because believe me, we all talk about a destination, but that journey is so important on what we're doing. That journey is so important on how we actually go through. That staying point of going through every sense of the way. Listen, sometimes you're going to have a bad day. Sometimes you're going to have a good day. Sometimes you're going to have a so-so day. And those are the things that happen. Don't be so focused on that end point that you forget to enjoy the journey, that you forget the reason why you're staying here doing the things that you're doing as you're moving forward. Listen, there's been so many times in my life, and I can tell you that I've actually done it for years, that I was like, this is what I want to get to. This is what I want to get to. This is what I want to get to. And this is what I want to get to. And I forgot all the things that were going on around me and how important they played a factor to the journey to get me to that end point. And then once I started realizing that the things that were around me were already there and I had made it to where I wanted to get to that end point, it was like, oh, I'm here, but I've been blinded by my own stupidity. It's a difficult pill to swallow, but finding that reason to stay is so important. So if you learn anything off of this today, learn this. The reason I chose to stay was X. Think about that every day. I'm going to tell you, it'll make your goal so much more worth it. And then you determine if it's time to move on to next. Listen, I know it's easy to be part of that whole thing where you think that you're going to get everything instantly. I know life would be easier if it was that the case, but would you really be reaping all of the rewards that you'd be getting out of it? But then again, what do I know? I'm just a guy behind a microphone.
What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
You know how sometimes there's plans for everything out there? You have plans of going back to the gym. You have plans on eating right. You have plans on doing a diet. You know, all those things. What if I told you that you can make a plan to stop male pattern baldness? And let me tell you how you can start this journey off right now with my friends at Keeps. All you have to do is go to the website keeps.com, KEEPS.com/safety to receive your first month free of treatment. Keep in mind, 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the time that they are 35. More than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer from male pattern baldness. There are 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss. Keeps offers them both. So all you need to do is go to KEEPS.com/safety to find out more and to get your plan rolling. Now keep this in mind. For a limited time, get your first month free and claim your offer at KEEPS. That's keeps.com/safety. KEEPS.com/safety.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you. Okay, here you go. 42 minutes past the top of the hour. You are still hanging out with me here on the Rated R Safety Show. This is actually called For the Music. This is by Duck Moi. Yeah, Duck Moi. Yeah, this one's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. You can do it for the music as well. Doing the things that we do here. We're doing it for the music. Oh yeah, there you go. Get the move, get the groove. Anyways, I know we're already running behind because that's what we do around here. But you know, when do you get disco and electronica all tied into the same thing? Anyways, let's get you moving and grooving and get you back into some news stories because that's going to be important as we are talking on this lovely morning. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I will be going over to RadioBig.fm if you want to come out and hang out and do the stuff that we do over there. Anyways, let's talk about some things that are going on inside of the world. Do you hear what I hear? Yeah, there you go. It is the most wonderful time of the year, at least for people who love that song and all the other songs that make holiday season so wonderful. But while Christmas music may evoke positive emotions to add the joy of the season to many, that's definitely not the case for everyone. In fact, a Consumer Report survey says that 23% of people dread the seasonal music, just 1% more than the dread seeing certain relatives. Why? Clinical psychologist Linda Blair says that a lot of people hearing Christmas music makes them feel pressured, and maybe it's that I have to buy presents, but I don't have the money, or I really don't want to see my mother-in-law. It triggers those things for them, which is always, something that doesn't make people too happy, but we're trying to please others rather than doing our instinctive desires. So for some, the sounds of seasonal music triggers the feeling of things that they need to do or things that you've lost, which makes them feel so bad. Let's see. On the other side, Blair says that some people may have the entirely different reason for hating Christmas music. The simple repetition of these songs can irritate most people. She also says that she feels that especially sorry for those who work in the stores around the holidays because it's loud and the playlist is short, and that's for sure. After reading this, I'm glad to see that I'm not the only person who has spoken to a clinical psychologist about Christmas music. And it's not so much that I don't like Christmas music, it's just the freaking Mariah Carey song. That's really the one that gets to me. And for me, the only difference between a beer and a Christmas song is that it takes more than one beer to make me sick. So think about that as we are talking.
What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, so here's one for you real quick. Happy birthday and also death day. What? Yeah, you heard me there. Researchers in Switzerland said that your birthday is the one day of the year when you're most likely to die. What? A team from the University of Zurich had a morbid task of tracking 2.5 million deaths in Switzerland between 1969 and 2008. What they found is that people are increased risk of heart attack, stroke, and suicide on their birthdays, making birthdays statistically the deadliest day of the year, especially determined by the people over the age of 60. 14% of more likely to die on their birthdays, and unsurprisingly, their risk of death by fall jumped to 44% on their birthday. Famous people who have died on their birthdays include William Shakespeare at 52, gangster Machine Gun Kelly, George Barnes at 59, and country singer Mel Haggard at 79. Could someone please look at Margaret Atwood today, just in case? And I'm not sure about the stats, but I do know that my ex almost killed me for the day that I carried out on about 30% on my 30th birthday party. So that's just something to think about altogether. And anyways, let's talk about that, because here's the thing. Let's just make sure that we're very specific here. And I know it drives people crazy when I say this. You are aware that you have one birthday, and the rest are birth anniversaries. You can say that you're celebrating your birthday as frequently as you want, but you had one birthday. You're not going back and being rebirthed. Just in case. Just want to throw that out there just for something to think about.
You are listening to a Radio God. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a Radio God. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's start talking about it. Due dates, you know how it is. Deadlines and projects and presentations at the office add extra layer of stress for your already busy life. Then when life gets going in the way that your job, sometimes there's no other option to ask for some extra time to finish a task. According to a study by a team of Ohio State University, women are less likely to ask for a deadline extension than male colleagues. Researchers found that women are more concerned that they would be burdening others by asking for an extension, and that the people would view them as being incompetent. The problem is that women who don't feel comfortable asking their supervisors for the extra time may suffer of emotionally and professionally. The study also determined that not asking for more time to complete a task undermines women's well-being and also their performance. Previous research has showed that women reported feeling more pressed for time and were more likely to experience burnout than male counterparts. Of course, women are more pressed for time. They keep meeting deadlines and stuff. So there you go. On the other side, or on the other hand, when I tell my wife that I haven't been able to get the project done at home, she calls me as I'm stalling. So there you go. And I was going to ask for an extension, but I'll keep it off the table for the time being, because now I feel like I shouldn't be that person asking for extensions if I don't really need to do that. Anyways, let's talk about some other things that are going on inside of the world as we are hanging out and doing the things that we are doing here. Hanging out and all that kind of stuff as we are talking. So I don't know if you heard about this, but I want to share it real quick. The Sinner will end with season 4. The USA Network Wednesday announced that the show series finale will air on December the 1st. The show, which premiered back in 2017, featured Jessica Biel, a troubled mother of a fatality stab a man during a beach outing. Seemingly random. The story was based on the Petra Hemisphere crime novel of the same name. If you have not taken a view of that show, you should probably do so, because it's a pretty interesting one, to say the least. Anyways, let's talk about some things that are happened back on this date, if you're so inclined to know some of them. So we'll talk about that real quick. Back in 2020, U.S. deaths from COVID-19 passed 250,000 with 11.5 million recorded cases. Nearly 77,000 people have been hospitalized with the virus back on this date. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on. Connor McDonough turns 28. Nathan Kress turns 29. Allison Felix, 36. Damon Wayans, 39. Matthew Baton, 41. Fabulous turns 44. Anthony McPartland turns 46. David Ortiz turns 46. Megan Kelly, 51. Mike Epps, 51. Owen Wilson, 53. Kirk Hammett, 59. Oscar Nunez, 63. Kevin Nielsen turned 68. Margaret Atwood, We spoke about her earlier. 82. And Mickey Mouse, the Disney cartoon character. You ready for this? He turns 91 today. 91 today. So there you go. There you go. Some stuff real quick. Also, let's talk about the days of the year that you can celebrate if you're so inclined to know some of this stuff. National Princess Day, Mickey Mouse birthday, World Pancreatic Cancer Day, Great American Smokeout, hey now, National Rural Health Day, and Occult Day. Hold on, there isn't a day to celebrate the occult? So how do you realize that you're in the occult and you're celebrated? I mean, maybe that's something to think about. I mean, I'm just not sure there.
What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's get John back in here one more time and let him give us the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote has been submitted by Nate. LOA said, "You can turn your life into paradise, but the only way to do it is to make the inside of you a paradise." I like that. It reminds me of a wise thing I was told when I was younger. I was told, make your hobby your career, and you'll never work a day in your life. That's partially true as well. I love what I get to do. There is definitely some work involved, though, but I absolutely love the opportunity I get to visit with you, and I really, truly appreciate that you listen. Thank you so much for doing that. I really do appreciate it very much. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alessamorgan.com. Fasting is not for everyone, and it is important to consult with a doctor before giving it a try. But if you got a green light from your doctor, fasting may be a helpful tool in weight management. Most of us heard about intermittent fasting, but the modality of alternate day fasting, or AF, is not so commonly known. Alternate day fasting is when you have your standard caloric intake on one day and an aggressive caloric reduction on the following day. 0 or 25% of your normal calories, primarily from protein and ample hydration. According to meta-analysis published in Frontiers Nutrition that took a look at 7 various studies of alternate day fasting, people ended up losing on average 15 pounds over the course of 3 months of AF and had improved metabolic markers including improvements in LDL, HDL, triglycerides, and glucose tolerance. For this and more information on wellness, please visit alessamorgan.com.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. 53 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out doing our thing together. So there you go. Anyways, let's talk about some other things going on inside of the world of the news as we are talking here. Anyways, let's talk about, did you know the practice of playing music for callers on hold began with a faulty phone line connection. A loose wire touching a steel frame of an office building caused the act of a giant radio receiver, allowing callers to hear music from the radio station next door while being waited on while they were waiting on hold. Think about that. You have a whole business model because something got totally so there you go. I mean, how exciting is that stuff? Anyway, some things to think about as we are talking here. 54 minutes past the top of the hour. Anyways, if you need some whack facts, I got some for you real quick. Laid end to end, the blood vessel in your body would wrap around the equator 3 times. The largest cast ever assembled for a movie shoot is 300,000 for the funeral scene in Gandhi. I wonder how much they got paid. That's a question. A rainbow, yes, a rainbow, as we are talking here. A rainbow can only be seen in the morning or late afternoon. The single fast food hamburger can contain meat from hundreds or even thousands of different cattle. If a person added a donut a day to their regular diet, that they would gain 1 extra pound every 10 days. And as a rule of thumbs, one humped camel can run faster than a 2-humped camel. So there you go. So I guess the next time that you have to take a ride, think about that. Anyways, if you need some scoops of BS today, I got some of those for you real quick. Some are calling the 10-minute breakup song by Taylor Swift sang on SNL the worst 10 minutes in the show's history, and that's even talking about Rob Schneider into consideration. Ebony Magazine has revealed that their annual Power 100 list of most influential Black Americans, and I'm sorry, but you got jobbed again, Sinbad. Don't miss the full Beaver Moon next over the next few nights. They won't be another one like it for a good year, or by the time that I'll probably be an extra meta on it. So there you go. Today is Mickey Mouse Day. He debuted on Steamboat Willie on this day back in 1928. Steamboat Willie, Mickey whistled, smiles, and claps, and the only person who had more fun on that boat was Tommy Lee. Thanksgiving Day fact, here you go, on things that are supposed to make you sleepy as Trophinolon. That is number 2, ahead of the soft music, but way behind, some of the other stuff that happens and makes you tired on Thanksgiving.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so if you need a random joke for today, here you go. I went to the pool today and I could feel the women dressing me with their eyes. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What holiday would you be just as happy to do without? If you need something for the water cooler, here's a question. Try this one. In a survey, surprisingly high, 55% of people said that they always keep one of these in their vehicle. What is it? A roll of toilet paper. Really? 55% of people surveyed said that they keep a roll of toilet paper inside of their car? I have a lot of questions about that. I'm not going to lie here. Anyway, so there you go. You have been listening to the Rated R Safety Show exclusively on Safety FM and RadioBig.fm. Safety FM is the home of real safety talk. We can't do what we do without you, the most important part of Safety FM and RadioBig.fm, and that is you, the listener. Yes, without you, the listener, we can't do much of anything else. Anyways, if you did not hear earlier this week, I did announce that I have released our second ebook onto Safety FM Plus. If you want to take a read of it, all you have to do is go to safetyfmplus.com. To download it, all you have to do is go into the Safety FM platform and go into the downloadable content section, and that will get you moving and grooving as it does everything that it does there. Anyways, if I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. Whatever the mind of a man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So think about that. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Hopefully you know who I am. I'm not going to tell you bye, because if you want to come and hang out with me, I'll be at RadioBig.fm at the top of the hour for the next couple hours. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.